This week on Bros, Bibles, and Beer.
PhDs are really good at being wrong. Doesn't mean they're always wrong, but when they're wrong, they're really good at it.
The blue Easter bunny would have gotten triggered by that.
All the bunnies should be triggered by that.
The community aspect and knowing people transcends any one human delivering a message from the stage.
Why is the goat in the house? Goat leaves. It walks away.
Jumps back in
Goes
the fire.
right back into the
That's a
fireplace.
different goat.
No matter what your decision is, 50% of the people will be pissed.
If they made this up, that's totally fake and
Hey, welcome to the podcast, guys. This is Bros, Bibles, and Beer. I am
Did you legit just sneak that in?
Andy McCraw, joined by my friends and co-host Jeff
Hi.
Pearson.
Oh, hello.
And Zack Crater. Good evening, gentlemen.
How much of that did you get, jerk?
Just a little bit.
Stop eating the mic.
Just a
That's
skosh.
fun.
I am on the ones and twos today. So hello, listeners and viewers. I get to take over and do a little bit of the producer role tonight, which is kind of fun.
If you're just listening, you won't know that, but if you're watching on YouTube, Andy is pressing buttons and switching cams.
Yes.
So thanks for that.
Yeah. Boys, how are you doing tonight?
I don't know, but I forgot you're the big Angel fan, and the Angels, they're not doing too shabby. In
They're
fact, they had
fun.
a little walk-off
Last
yesterday.
night.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, Joe Adele. Man.
Angels. They're back.
Oh, my entire family,
It's 2001.
which is 3/4 girls. Well, 3/5 girls. 3/5 lady energy, unless you count when you count the dog. But he doesn't have balls, so I don't know what fraction that makes it. But our entire household is in love with Joe Adele and loves to see him do
Really?
well. Oh yeah.
Wow. You have a picture of him above your bed, or
In my heart, I have a picture of him above and within my heart.
You got a picture of him hanging above your bed heart.
Yeah, no, if you're not a sports person, if you're not
checked
familiar
out.
with sports ball, Joe Adele he's only 25 or 6, but he's been a hot prospect for so long. It feels like he's 30. And it's just like, it's finally, he shows flashes of brilliance. So we all are just hoping that he puts it together. And last night he did walk it off with a double, which was fun.
that
Good
was fun.
times. But happy Easter, day after Easter.
Did you guys, did you survive Easter or did you thrive through Easter?
Oh, thrived. Family, good times, people, that we haven't hung out with in a long time. And I mean, my wife's side of the family is great. Cooked hamburgers. Everybody brought food, a little bit of candy. It was just a beautiful day. So it was nice.
I forgot to send you guys the meme of the Rizzler. There's one that's
The
going
Rizzler?
around. The Rizzler. He is risen.
Yes.
I dropped the ball on that, but yeah,
I totally forgot to wear my Rizzler shirt that
I know.
one of my
You
students
should
got
have.
me.
You should have. But it was great. Great family, good times, fellowship, faith, fun, and funk.
Oh, wait. Did you get that for me?
Yeah, I bought.
You got the Rizzler for me.
Yeah. Gave it to your wife
Because of what my students had.
because you told us about
They
your
were telling me the Mr. Rizzler. Yes. They got me a very large shirt that had a wolf on it. And you got me the Rizzler.
a
So,
wolf.
these are the things I identify as.
So you went with the hard L this time.
wolf.
I think we beat it out of him because he used to say woof.
There's a pack of wolves up there.
Woofs.
Woof, woof.
Yeah.
That's what the doggies say.
Are you good, Andy?
I'm good. Yeah, we had a great time. Yeah, I had both sides of the family over, so the entire clan, and we filled up the house. And
You spell that with a C, though, right?
which part?
Clan.
Clan.
Oh yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, but it was fun. Kids loved it. There was a highlight. So my niece, her boyfriend is a Marine commander at Pendleton. Camp Pendleton, listeners,
Nice.
is a local Marine base. Super cool guy. We all love him. He's from Texas, and we bought these marshmallow guns. I don't know if you've seen these things, but just imagine like compressed air, and you got to push it, and it launches like mini
big one?
marshmallows.
Oh, minis.
Launches
Nice.
the minis.
Fun.
So we give there's like 4 of them or whatever, and my 2 youngest nephews who are 7 and like 5, they get a hold of him and they're thinking, all right, we've got it. We're going to go get Rob. That's the Marine. And I see Rob grab the marshmallow gun and he holds it and he starts moving like a Marine, cutting through. And it's just like, bam, 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 bam. It just unloads on them, all of it. And their kids are just like, at one point, they're like, no, stop, leave us alone. And he's just, whop, pop, 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 pop.
Full Call of Duty.
But yes, I mean,
He's
he was
clearing rooms.
Yeah, he's sitting there, he's like, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Throwing ham grenades and marshmallow shots.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome though.
Love
yeah,
it.
the kids gave up eventually. So it was a good Easter.
Yeah, that is good. He is risen indeed.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day.
Until he gets put down by a Marine with a marshmallow gun.
Yeah,
That's funny.
I was talking to somebody yesterday and I said, hey, did you go to service? And they're like, nope. I'm like, why not? It's the same message. I'm like, really? Yeah, and there's a lot of people. I'm like, wow.
You were talking to Dave Wakeling?
No. I was actually talking to my brother.
Hi, Dave.
I was talking to my brother-in-law, and he mentioned that. I'm like, oh, gosh, how different we are, how different people are, just in general. I'm like, the message didn't matter. Like seeing faces, I jumped on the stage and I was hugging Zack. I saw some guy I hadn't seen for 5 years, and
It was weird that you did that in the middle of the service, though. That was the part that I was like, what?
Yeah, we
Dude.
maintained focus. We were able to keep playing the music without breaking, but Jeff did.
he is risen. Wait, why is Jeff risen onto the stage? And he's just all over the place.
It was funny because right before that, the band is all set. We're like 2 minutes till go time, and I was playing bass on this particular Sunday, and I see you getting set in your seat, and people are mingling. It's loud out there, and I yelled out, which has been yelled on here, Jeff Pearson!
which I did not hear.
And you didn't hear, and then I go turn around to do something, and then I turn back around, and you are in my face giving me a hug, which is like, I don't know if I summoned you or it was just a simpatico energy of like, we need to see each other face to face. It was great. And I'm like, you heard that? And you're like, no, I didn't hear anything. It was funny.
Yeah, I'm literally sitting in my chair yesterday, just scanning the room like, ooh, right there. Gotta go. So my wife's like, yep, okay, bye.
Your love language this Easter was physical touch.
Yeah.
And acts of service and affection.
Lots of keto energy.
Yes.
Lindsay was the better of the Christian between the two of us, and she was chatting with one of her high school. She'd been one of her high school girls on the houseboats trips and stuff like that. Listener, our youth group every summer goes on this houseboat trip, and that's the summer camp that they do. Anyway, a couple years ago, she had a kid. It's Todd's niece, Todd Redarmel's niece.
Okay.
Anyway, super sweet girl, but she just like cruised solo down from LA to come to Mountain View.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And afterwards, Lindsay's hanging out and chatting, and then she just goes, "Hey, do you have anything going on after this?"
Mhm.
And she's like, "No, I think we're going back." She's like, "Why don't you just come on over? We got brunch, we got tons
nice.
of food." And it was
Yeah.
so fun to have her come and hang out with us and have her kid. He was
That's
like 2 years
awesome.
old. He's run all over the place playing with the boys.
Oh,
Dude, it
that's
was great.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so funny because, like, realize, dude, you do this like calculation in your head real quick. You're like, oh, is it going to be uncomfortable because we're bringing a stranger in that nobody else knows and we're the only ones? And like, just blow past that and be like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Everyone figures it out.
Yeah,
You know?
they do. Water finds its own level. And she just confirmed what Jeff and I already knew. Better Christian than you.
Yeah, definitely. I know. It was as if we needed more confirmation. No, but it was really sweet. And I was stoked that we were in a place, I don't know, that she just thought and acted on that in the moment, you know, that she didn't wait and like blew past any hesitation that was there.
Yeah. And Jeff, you talking about your brother-in-law?
Yes.
The message, it's the same message every year kind of a
Yeah.
thing. That reminds me, like I've, this says something about me. I don't know if it's good or not, but I haven't been going to church for the message in a long time. Sorry, current pastor and former pastor and former pastor. That it just says something about me. But I mean, I love all those people, but no dig at them. It's just it transcends the community aspect, and knowing people transcends any one human delivering a message
Right.
from the stage, even though sometimes those are really good. And I'm not saying it was bad, but I'm just confessing.
On that, he's
Church hasn't been about that for me.
to his credit, and it's really credit really not due. It's neutral, but he said I just looked up a past service from past years on. I don't even know if it was that church or some other church, and just like, listen to it in the background. I'm like, that's different. I didn't even think that's what somebody would do. Like, it's Easter, not going to service, but I'm going to watch a past service from whatever church, just, and just it'll be the like background Bethel music or something like that. So, like, I looked at him like, I go for the people. that was that. It was like, that's, everybody has their own thing.
I do feel like at this point, I don't know. I feel like I've heard all the sermons. It's rare if I encounter something where it's like new revelation. Whoa, I'd not heard that before. I've never heard a pastor give that talk or give this interpretation of whatever the passage is. And so
You should stay awake more.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is like, that's the thing. It's
Yeah,
it's
I know.
all, I've been awake too long.
Oh, nice turn.
Well, I thought it was a really good message. Yesterday, just listening to the Easter message, I'm like, I found it engaging and it thought provoking, and that doesn't always happen. It's usually what's coming, but then there's these questions. I'm like, okay, there's a lot thrown in here. There's a little weight to this, and I appreciate that.
I like to think of when you're watching a movie, you know the ending, or maybe it's a movie that plays with time, and so you see the ending first, and then you start the movie, and as the movie progresses, you still get excited. It's like, I like to think of like a simple dude does he raise from the dead? Does it happen? He did it! Yes.
Okay, there is some tension there because at the same time, like when it comes to these like big holidays, that Christmas and Easter, at times I do get a little frustrated if someone gets so creative that you're like, was this about Easter?
Yeah.
Was this about Christmas? Maybe, I can't tell. You know what I mean? So there are times where I'm like, the story's good. It's a good story. Tell that story because this is the only time the whole year that we tell this story. So tell it now. And if you find something, some new nuance in it, great. But if not, like, that's okay.
And there's a lot of people there that only show up on Easter and Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, make sure you hit that home run.
Yeah. There's some name for them. I forget what it is. Centers or
Two first.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I outside of just normal Easter and Christmas stuff like that, sermons in general are tough for me. I struggle finding things interesting. So like you, I'm there for people like and maybe that's just a natural stage where we start to land in our Christianity. Like you need something different. The interactions that you need are different.
Yeah. Well, I try to remind myself right now, in whether it's politics or my faith or what I view about current issues, like I'm in this spot now. This is what I think right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not set in stone. So your orientation towards church or how it should be done or how you like it and how it feeds you is where you're at now. It doesn't mean you stay there. And
I don't like the implications of you using the word orientation there. Yeah. What did Art say? Art's way of putting it was like, this is what I'm convinced of right now, or something to that effect.
It's good.
Friend of the podcast, Art Greco.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, buddy. We miss you.
Yes.
Hugs and kisses.
And that helps you hopefully stay open to change, because man, the world needs to be open to change. Everyone is so set in their beliefs. Not everyone, obviously. We're all very humble people who are open to change. And that's just one example of 3 people. And surely there are more. But it does seem, at least when you watch the news and stuff, that people are pretty set and battle lines are drawn. And I think the world could use a little bit of more, like, I believe this right now. This is where I'm at now. But somebody might come along that has something better to offer.
Dude,
Or
why can no one admit that they're ever wrong anymore? What is the deal? What's going on in the world that we can't do this? No one is allowed to admit that they
like
were wrong
in public.
ever.
Yeah. I feel like it is if you in the world of social media influencers, and if you have like your ministry is geared like you are the ministry that does like traditional family relationships, and that's what you do, or you are the, you know, far left podcast or far right podcast, and like you're doing politics and that's what you do, you are like, it's built in, there's a perverse incentive to maintain that, otherwise financially you'll take a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you shared it, I watched the Joe Rogan episode, a podcast episode with Douglas Murray and Dave Smith, and there were so many moments in time where you're like, Douglas Murray, just say like, dude, you were wrong. It's okay. It's all right. You don't have to like be so absolute.
Oh, just cruise. Oh.
Like
is cruising through it, like letting people get away with stuff, or he's.
Can you give a little context?
So okay, so in that podcast, what happened?
Jeff's camera got a FaceTime call.
Oh, nice.
Is my airplane mode not on?
Well, I don't know.
It might. Well, it can't.
Well, it's recording now. Let's just
As long as we're
soldier
good.
on.
We're good. We made it.
That might happen.
So Dave Smith and Douglas Murray were on Rogan. Sort of, Joe wanted to keep it conversational, not so much of a debate, although it turned into a debate of like Ukraine versus Israel, Palestine, and then also Ukraine versus Israel. I'm distracted because your phone is beeping. Ukraine versus Russia and Israel and Hamas, and they're on opposite sides of that. And should we rectify this situation with the FaceTime video?
Yeah, we can just go kill it. Thanks. Who's FaceTiming you like a monster? What the heck? That's gross.
Scroll up, and then top right. Top right, scroll down.
This is great podcast. While he does that, you can keep going, Zach. I'll cut to you.
There you go.
But there was,
yes.
it did get into a debate. It did have some back and forth. And the challenge that I had with it was there were multiple points in time where it's obvious that Douglas is missing it. He's off. He's wrong. You've got a couple of guys like bringing receipts and saying, no, what you're saying isn't right. And
he's not accepting
Douglas is not accepting it. He's just like blowing past or deflecting. A lot of it was just so much deflecting.
Who is Douglas?
Or not responding. He's an author and a speaker and a public debater.
Intellectual.
Yeah.
He's got the most fancy British accent of all the British accents.
I would like him usually.
When you look back, do you think he maybe truly felt like he was right? And they were.
No, I think he was using debate techniques to avoid losing points.
Okay.
That's what I thought was really happening. But it was just, I use him as one example. Just like pick at any point in time, any politician from the stage on the mic saying, hey, I got that one wrong. Like, when's the last time you heard that?
Never.
No, we don't hear it anymore.
Right.
So we've created, society, it feels like, has created this scenario where, for whatever reason, no one is ever allowed to be wrong. And if you were, deny it, deflect, defend.
Yes, there was a lot of, and I've benefited from, I like both those individuals for different reasons, and I got to clear my throat and say I don't agree with either of them on everything. But it seemed to be more when Dave would make a point, the goalpost would get moved by Douglas Murray in a way to benefit him as opposed to actually addressing the point. And I think Dave did that a couple times, but more often than not, Dave would address what Douglas had to say and Douglas wouldn't.
Yeah. And I don't mean to bring that up to be about those two guys in particular, that it was a representation of a larger pattern that I've been seeing a lot in society and culture right now. And I think
I can never be wrong. I'm always right.
Never publicly wrong. Never admit any fault.
Never going to back off and go, gosh, you know what? I think you may be right. And I really have to, I got to look into this a little bit more.
Hey, you changed my mind. Yeah, I used to believe this, and now I believe that.
Sure.
Even when you hear that from politicians, they'll be called out on that. They're like, "Hey, you voted for this, and now you're doing this." Well, actually, like they never come and say,
Right.
"New information." I got new information. I changed my mind.
New shit has come to light. Yeah, I had an example. It was fleeting, and I'm multitasking. I do have a little.
Anyway,
clip.
I don't even know what that is.
I do
I
have
don't
a
know
little
why
clip.
that's happening.
Do you want me to play this clip a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah. You
from
can
the
play
debate and
you
just
can play the
see what
little clip a
happens?
little bit.
Since you brought it up, and
Sure.
you just tell me when to stop.
All right, we'll get better viewers.
The bigger picture dynamics to all of this is that
You're not going to get a total context of what they're talking about right now, but you will get a little taste of some of the tactics that you were talking about, Andy,
Yeah.
from Douglas Murray.
we have, at least since 9/11, been in a state of perpetual war. And all of these wars have been disasters. They have been so many lies involved in selling all of them. I mean, the whole Iraq war, the whole war in Afghanistan, just lying the whole way through.
This is Dave
I
Smith, in
remember
case.
literally having conversations with Green Berets in the middle of the war in Afghanistan, and they're like, George W. Bush is telling you that the army we're building up there is really successful. This thing's going to fall in a week without us. And then all through the Obama administration, it's just like lie after lie after lie with disastrous wars. And so this does create a fertile ground for people to say, I wonder if they were lying about all these wars.
Sure. but
Again, I'm not really trying to argue with you about World War II. I'd rather argue about these wars
ground.
today.
I think the interesting question is whether you're busy watering it.
Well, should
Okay.
you not talk about mistakes that were made
You should.
overall?
Absolutely.
Okay, you should.
So he just paused real
Brian,
quick.
all-
Yeah. So he backs it out. Are you watering and making fertile ground of
Misinformation.
misinformation? And then Rogan comes back. He's like, "Well, should you not talk about these things?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, you should talk about these things."
all for going
So-
back and looking at mistakes.
So what is your argument then?
It's a very weird thing to go back, zone in on a man, say this one thing is a mistake and should characterize him, and you ignore everything else.
You're taking him
It's
out of
like
context
wildly
when you're
weird
talking about
thing to
Daryl,
do.
who's done, what was it, 30 plus hours?
So what? 30 plus hours of
But you
podcasting.
take-
You do that in a week. I mean,
Yeah,
come
but it's a
on.
very
It's a very
different
different
thing. It's a very different
He's
thing.
not doing a podcast like talking to people.
Okay, nor is he doing scholarly work, nor is he working in the archives.
All right,
Come
pause
on,
real quick. So that, right? You at no point in time, each like you see a correction from Dave, you see a correction from Joe, another correction from Joe, and it's just a pivot. It's a pivot. It's a pivot. It's not like, okay, oh, all right, maybe I got it wrong. It's just the absolute. There could be no middle ground. Only absolutes.
Zero sum, baby.
He seems to have that. This is my thing. Like I am the knower of all things.
And he's usually like really good in these types of
He's
scenarios.
got a great voice.
Like I've seen him in a debate. I saw him in a debate with Malcolm Gladwell, and Malcolm Gladwell's supposed to be a really smart dude, and he makes him look like a dummy.
Yeah. And Douglas, this is a good example of if you have Douglas, I don't think he has a PhD, but I heard somebody say once, PhDs are really good at being wrong. Doesn't mean they're always wrong, but when they're wrong, they're really good at it because they're very smart and
Very
if
confident.
they have their narrative and they're backing it up with logic within the self-contained
Yeah.
logic of their argument, you can be wrong and feel so sure about it in a way that is totally dangerous.
But that's the thing. It's no longer just PhDs. They don't own it. It's bled into all culture. That's the point that I'm kind of trying to get to. Is
Yeah.
I guess we all think we're PhDs in our hearts now.
And the internet's made us all sort of experts at like a lot of things.
This is
Experts in
This
square-
is semi-connected. But about 15 years ago, the public school, the education of California, and then that bleeds out into the rest of the country. But it was, hey, we're doing a writing, and you need to go. You're going to read like 3 or 4 articles, and then you're going to create an argument, and then you need to go find 3 or 4 things that back it up within any of these articles.
Yeah.
And so kids at a young age were trained to do this, and then they started talking about critical thinking. You can be a critical thinker, and so it went from, if you just have some things that you think are the leverage for the argument, then just throw them in there, and then moving forward, about 7, 8, 9 years ago, the the words critical thinking started to move into public education. And then from there, we ended up hitting the pandemic. And then I felt like all the kids that were students, 5th, 6th, 7th graders, back when, 10 years before that, were all doing their little papers. And they're like, no, it's this because of this and this. It's like, that's a really bad argument. That makes no sense. Do you even know what you're saying? And they're like, well, my teacher 10 years ago said that if I just had two things, then it was good enough. But that doesn't make your argument. Be like,
I said with all due respect.
Yeah, exactly. But I felt like how kids had been taught, they became adults, and then they were terrible at thinking on their toes. And then we ended up hitting the pandemic, and then it was just crazy arguments. I'm like, these are not good arguments. So when I hear someone just go like, no, I'm not wrong. I mean, you're pushing back, but I'm not wrong at all. I couldn't be, because I have knowledge, and so therefore I'm right.
And I feel like at the core there's probably either a lack of humility or fear, or some nasty cocktail of the two. Like
100%.
I'm so narcissistic and full of myself that how could I be wrong? Or I'm afraid if I give up any ground, they'll think I'm an idiot.
Yeah. And especially if you make your money being on a side of an issue, which I know Dave Smith actually endorsed, which is surprising. He's kind of like an anarchist, libertarian. And so he, as you heard in that little clip, he was basically throwing every president under the bus for the wars. He's not a partisan guy. He's not on the partisan side. He actually did endorse Trump for this election. But since then, because he's hyper principled in kind of an aspy way, he's got a touch of the tism in that regard, I think. And I don't think he would take that as a dig. Not that we're friends or anything, but I would like to be friends with him.
Touch of the tism.
Another public education startup company.
But
touch of the tism.
Oh yeah.
But he has since criticized Trump for any number of things because he's very principled in his approach to things. I think it's mostly for better, but it will end up pissing people off from all angles. But I really appreciate that about somebody, even when I don't agree with a person. If I believe that they believe what they're saying, I can listen to that person, even if I disagree with their angle.
Well, that's better than being disingenuous. The disingenuous part, you're like, oh, you've lost me. Now I not only don't believe you, I don't like you.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't believe you believe what you're saying, but you're grifting, and there's so much of that right now. Lots of people that talk fast and in absolutes. I'm always like, even if what they're saying is scratching my itchy ears where it kind of feels good, I'm like, I don't trust that because it's too absolute and you're too sure of yourself. Do I believe you or not? I don't know.
Oh, is it go click time?
I was just leaving that little pregnant pause there.
Speaking of pregnant pause,
I did.
Hold on. We should get to this here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are on the
should I try to
the video version,
start playing it at the same time as you so we get sound?
Does he say it? Is it?
Oh, no,
you have audio of him saying it?
No,
we're not doing
no, we're not doing the go.
We're going happy.
No. Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So let's bring it back to Easter here, guys, because it's important for us to make sure that we're really thinking about the season.
Who better to receive Easter greetings than from the President of the United States?
That's right. So from Donald J. to the nation, happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics.
It's highlighted. They highlighted that.
I didn't even know you could do that on X. Okay, including the radical left lunatics. This is an X post from the real Donald Trump.
Even better, it's an X post of a screenshot from Truth Social.
Oh, even better. Wow. Okay. That's
from the official White House Twitter account, formerly known as X, vice versa.
Next level. And by the way, there's a photo at the top with the Donald Trump and the Washington Memorial in the background, and someone dressed up in a bunny suit.
A super scary horror bunny suit.
That is,
horror film bunny suit.
you said horror. Okay.
Woof.
Oh my gosh. Quick aside.
Woof,
Dana Gould stand up where he goes, "Hey, what's your favorite horror film?" And someone's like, "Saw." And the other person's like, "Seven." And he goes, "Mine's Pretty Woman." And he goes, "Oh, you thought I said horror." All right. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and the mentally insane and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife beaters back into our country.
Wife beaters is capitalized.
Ugh.
As if it's a gang or a
As if it's a
band.
proper noun. The wife beaters.
Jenny and the wife beaters.
I always wonder if he's actually writing these. Happy Easter also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement officials who are allowing this sinister attack on our nation to continue, an attack so violent that it will never be forgotten. Sleepy Joe
I like how you're
Biden
peppering it in. That's
purposely
classy.
allowed millions of criminals to enter our country. I lose it very quickly.
Yeah.
Totally unvetted and unchecked through open borders policy that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetrated. I go into Dana Gould, actually.
Yeah.
Ever perpetrated upon America. He was, this is Joe Biden, by far our worst and most incompetent president, a man who had absolutely no idea what he was doing. But to him and to the person that ran and manipulated the auto pen, perhaps our real president, and to all of the people who cheated in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected. Wow, capitalize. Also elected as capitalize. He's really just going all over the place with what his capitalizations are. I wish you, with great love, sincerity, and affection, a very happy Easter.
He is risen, everybody.
Okay, guys.
Did he ask ChatGPT to just do a passive aggressive Easter invitation to the Democrats?
ChatGPT,
I do love that
I'd like you to be a dick on Easter.
his capitalizations aren't quite random. It's kind of his style, but it is a little bit like your mother-in-law texting you where all of a sudden caps kick in for some reason.
Well,
they don't
dude,
know why.
Oddly enough, like capitalizing words that shouldn't be capitalized, that shows up in corporate America. And it's usually being used when you're like, I need to make the thing that I'm working on sound more important. Hold on.
Right.
Capitalize it. There you go. Now they'll know it's a thing. Oh, this is a thing, right? You
I would have
capitalize it.
skipped over that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a proper noun. No, it's not. Okay.
This is one of those things where I just think, hey, for the people that are terrified of the president and the people that think he's the second coming, don't worry, you'll both be disappointed. This is a simulation. It's all going to be okay. It's all a part of the code.
The blue Easter bunny would have
gosh.
gotten triggered by that.
Uh,
The blue Easter bunny.
all the bunnies should be triggered by that. I don't know. We have two bunnies on the side of the house that are real bunnies. They were triggered by
Actually
that.
triggered.
Yeah, they were. That's great though, and I feel like he kind of nailed the Easter spirit.
Yeah, I feel like you did too.
Makes me think about Jesus. and
Yeah.
His resurrection.
It does make me think about Jesus and his resurrection.
Not.
Jeff, when you were an elder on the board, did you feel like it affected your ability to enjoy things about the church because you had the curse of knowledge?
Ooh. This just took a turn. I'm here for it. Mostly because I have to be. The door's locked.
Do I need to state something and then have two things to support it?
Yes, you do. It can be any two things, though, technically. It doesn't even matter. They don't have to be related.
That was probably the second year, and I realized that I don't want to know any of this.
Yeah.
I just would like to pray for people. I want to think about the congregation. I want to figure out what section of the congregation I could help, and then go from there. Those are my strengths. My strengths are not, to be talking about, the craziness of the church.
Yeah.
So the craziness is a bad word. Anyway, it really burned me raw to the point where I'm like, I want out, ripcord.
It's like a gif of somebody from the Bluth family saying, "I've made a huge mistake."
George Michael, where are you? Get me out of this problem.
I get to be Mr. Manager.
Andy, where did that question come from?
Yeah, it felt like there was something behind it, Andy.
Well, sometimes I think
Those were loaded tots of questions.
they were the loadedest of tots. I think sometimes when we are, when you dig into and learn more about what's going on in your own church or in the church in general, it can be discouraging and distracting from like the core of what things are supposed to be about. You know what I mean? And so it's just a thing. At our church, we call them overseers. I don't love that term.
Elders,
But
overseers.
they're elders or they're deacons. At other churches, they have different names. The board is another term. But
it's also ominous.
it has
No,
other
the board.
Oh, the board.
The board wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
I know all of it is ominous.
Overseers is maybe worse because
You
that
will-
has connotation during slave days, and that's not good.
I never even thought about that. You will need to speak.
What
with
is
the
the
board
slave
about
reference?
That's what they
Teach
used to
me.
call That's what they used to refer to the people who would be in the fields overseeing the slaves were
That were on
call-
the horses.
referred to as overseers.
Okay.
Good
I
God.
don't know.
I think, can I take a break in your master bedroom and just cool down a little bit?
Oh,
I was just looking for some slave related reference.
I'm just
that we took.
I'm just picturing Django. And
so yeah. When I first joined, and that's what they called. Now Paul uses the term. That's where it came from. That's why
Okay.
we're using
All
it,
right.
but it still felt a little
yeah.
funky. Anyway, that's not the real point that I tried to make.
Yep.
There is a pattern, and I'd be curious if this is true at
Mm.
other churches as well. People who have been on the board, and when they're done, they leave the church. And I wonder if some of this is. It feels like it has to be a contributing factor that after getting all of this additional knowledge of all basically the crap that's going on that you have to be made aware of
Mhm.
within a church. Every church has their crap, by the way. It's just whether or not you know about it or not. So being cursed with that knowledge, at the end you just go, well, I'm done. I don't want to know about this anymore. I'm burned out. I'm curious if I don't know if there's a real question in here, but
It's exhausting.
it is exhausting.
You feel like this is a sacrifice. But when I got into it, the very first year that I was an overseer, we literally had names in front of us, and like, let's pray for them, and hey, let's pray for each other as well. And there was a very spirit-like session that would happen once a month
Yeah.
with the overseers, and then it turned sideways because we started to grow, started to talk about numbers and money, and I'm like, whoa, this, and I was really green to church, and certainly being a board member, overseer, I was out of my element because I'm like, I don't know, like if I could go back now, I would have been like, hold on, whoa, where are we going? What direction are we going? And I felt like I wasn't in the spot to actually, change the direction, because honestly, if you go back to that time, it was a sweet time. Like the things that we were talking about, and I mean, literally just a big chunk of time praying for people, and then like, okay, you got them, like, go out and help. We're going to go out and help them in this way, and that was what our church was. That first year that I was an overseer, I had been there for a year, at least a couple of years, but it was so. If it had been like that for the next 5 years, it would have been such an amazing time. But it wasn't. It switched, and something, the grasp for butts and seats and money and getting a permanent place started to supersede, like business started to take over. And I'm like, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
In some ways, a lot of that stuff could be inevitable. Like you can't avoid that necessarily. But I wonder if what you're describing, your experience, is similar to others in that a lot of overseers have, for one reason or another, when they're done, they've left the church.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
they check out, and
And I
it's
wonder
common.
if it's like I still love the people here, but I know too much. To your point, Andy, let me go to another church where I don't know the ins and outs. I can kind of
Yeah.
just be there to be there and not have to worry about all that stuff. I think there's something to that.
Yeah, I feel like there's part of me that at the end of my 6-year term here, I'm gonna be like, I would like a sabbatical, a church sabbatical, for sure. And no one, and to anyone who's out there who has been on their church's board for the past 5 or 6 years, whew, good luck. Hang in there. This is by far the worst.
I'd love to hear the good
Yeah, if somebody's
parts.
listening,
Like, if you're like, I was, or I know people who were, and they had a great experience and got to serve, and they loved it, and it was their sweet spot, and it was amazing, and they've been there 10 years after, that's
I'd be
Those are
willing
good
to.
stories.
I'd be willing to bet that within the last 5 years, going through COVID, that the number of people who would say it was a good experience to be on the board or at any level of leadership in any church, at least in the U.S.,
right.
was horrible.
well, prove us wrong. Let me be the beacon of light and hope. Don't listen to these Donnie Downers. If you're listening and you have a different story, let us know. Hit us up. Speakpipe.fm/bros. Right? Is that the right one for voicemails?
That's the right one. Or just hit us up on
I
the
thought you were
YouTube
just-
comments. That's always
YouTube
great
comments, do it. Or brosbibblesbeer@gmail.com.
If you like us, you'll find us.
Yeah.
too. I don't know what the version of some sabbatical is, but I will take one for sure. Something's going to happen.
You kn- Yes.
I have to. Like, it's going through all the stuff that we had to between COVID and losing almost the entire staff, full turnover, including a pastor,
Right.
and transition and new pastor and then new staff again. Like,
Oh, we have a new church.
basically, yeah. And, everyone in the church was really cool during COVID, and they all agreed about everything and the way that everything was done. And we're super happy with all the decisions that were made. So that was awesome. It was great. Yeah. No, my term comes up in June, and I'm gonna take 5. Lindsay doesn't know this yet. I
5.
actually don't know. I don't know what that means.
5 decades.
I'm gonna take 5 decades away from the church. Ugh.
Well, you're young.
Hey,
so-
goats. Good segue.
Give us a palate cleanser, Andy.
Oh, what? Did I get too real for you guys? I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
Oh, was that too real? Did I share too much? Sorry. I thought this was a real podcast. Authentic. Thought we were talking about stuff. What does Instagram have to say? Let me know.
How do I feel? Tell
I
me.
do appreciate that. Actually, it is. I wasn't expecting this. People, this is real. Breaking news. And like you said, you don't know what it means, but I get it. I don't blame anyone for needing to bug out from church. I feel like I've been riding that fence for a long time, but I'm just connected to people in a way that the relationships are rich in a way that, well, I could not go to this church and still maintain the connections that I've made. So that part of it is true whether or not I go to any church. But I identify with the feelings you're having now, even though I haven't been on the board. This is where Douglas Murray would say, "Have you been on the board? Then you can't talk about the board."
Have
But-
you been to the board? If you've not been to the board, you can't talk about the board. I would think that if you had even talked about it at all, you would have been
Yeah.
there.
But I have definitely experienced or been in the throes of burnout where I did step back for chunks of time and not do the thing that I've been doing at church for a long time, which is playing music. So
Well, I think the
I
question.
feel you.
I think the question, as you go and be a board member, overseer, or when you're doing anything, it's like, why am I doing this? In that case, we're doing it for the people. We're doing it for the congregation of a church. And the challenge of the pandemic is you were doing it for the people, and now the people that you were there for, they're not there. Now it's like another group of people, and you got people leaving left and right. And you're like, the ship is taking on a lot of water, and you start to question, why am I doing this? Now I'm just burnt and scorched earth, and I'm done. And that is a very challenging time. You're absolutely right. The last 5 years, I mean, from March 13th on, has been a shit show, and there was no way to get around it. And you're right. I bet the percentages in that time. I think going back before that, it's a different statistic. But in these last five years, we've seen people just move, forget being a part of a church, moving, picking up and going somewhere else, or leaving their church, or leaving as the pastor or worship leader or on staff, just gone.
It was the weirdest moment in our lives in church history, for sure. Like anything that we've experienced, hopefully we never experience anything like that again, because it was pretty devastating in so many ways to the church. And I don't know how long it will take for the at least United States church to recover from and get back to some version that's close, resembles what it was before. And maybe there's things that shouldn't have been there. That's fine. I don't know how all that stuff works out. But what's curious to me is that, like, getting to the end, like I'm right here, right at the end of the runway in June. I'm done. And like I said, I remembered, man, there were Todd, our previous pastor. I'm sorry, I spoke to the listeners, so they know that you guys know that Todd's our previous pastor. Todd had told me, he's like, I don't know what the deal is. Everyone who finishes, he's not everyone, but he's like, so many of them, when they're done with their term as an overseer, they leave.
Right.
They check out and they leave the church. And dude, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You guys didn't have shit to deal with. That was a cruise. Are you joking me? There was like pathetic in comparison to what you had to go through.
But
and
Andy,
you took off.
Andy, you weren't there.
If you hadn't
You
been
weren't
that,
there.
You definitely
I was there
you
during
definitely
that time.
worse than Jesus. Definitely worse than Jesus. You had a tough time.
Jesus told me in a dream, he's like,
Dude, what I did was nothing, Andy.
this is,
Jesus saying, dude,
I can't
dude,
even,
what I did.
crosses are bad, but whoo. Talk to me about staff turnover.
Still no goats.
So here's the question then. Like, how much information is it good for us to know as Christians? How much behind the scenes should we know? How much information should we have? Or is ignorance bliss? And is that okay?
I mean, there's context there.
Yes.
Okay, would you rather not know all the junk that's going on in your church and happily show up every week? Or would you rather get an email every week that breaks down and tells you, here's all the junk that's going on in your church, and you need to now be aware of this and internalize it and or do something with it?
It was a little different. It was a little different back in the day. We would have prayer.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever.
It was easy. It sounds awesome.
No.
I wish I could have had that.
We'd have the same challenges, different challenges, but it was just, I'm like, hey, here's something that's going on. Let's just, if you could pray about this, pass it on.
So,
As opposed to, like, I know this, but I'm not supposed to deal with this in like, I can't deal with that, but I can pray about this.
and a lot of information that you literally can't share with anyone.
Right.
And that you have to be a special kind of person to handle that in a healthy way. Somebody like me, if you speak Enneagram, I'm a 9. I'm an incredibly healthy 9 on the Enneagram, guys. But knowing stuff affects me because it becomes a part of me. And so If
So
I
would
were-
you rather know these things or live in ignorance?
I'm so curious though. I do want to know, and I confess, like being married to an her at the time.
Never see her.
Where's the lightning? Lightning?
I love that pun. That's one of my favorites.
Puns are fun. Come on. But yes, my wife was on the board for a while, and
Puns are fun.
of this church, this same church, at the same time with Andy. Shortly after Jeff, or was there any crossover?
Nope, no crossover.
Okay. But anyways,
That board would not have been for me.
so I obviously, but I know things about the church that you're somebody who's not on the board or not in leadership.
Sure.
I probably know more than some of the leadership at the church at the time, just because we're married and we talk. But I confess, like having her roll off, and Andy, you keep boundaries. You don't spill all the beans. So it's not like I still know all of the things, but as that phase goes away where I don't know some of the inner workings, there is like I like to know those things, because I think I've read too many stories of church situations going wrong to where I do want to know, because when it goes wrong in a bad it's really destructive to individuals when there's any sort of abuse, even if it's not physical or sexual or anything. If it's just like spiritual abuse in the sense of like bullying or lording over whatever. I'm constructing like I wish I had example. Like think of Mark Driscoll. Like
but there's always stuff. So why do you want to know that stuff though?
Because I would want to be a part of like helping people out of that or exposing it in a way. Because and those things don't go wrong. People don't intentionally do that stuff. I would guess like almost 100% of the cases of church abuse don't start as I'm going to engage in church abuse. It's little tiny compromises. And if you're involved in a church and you have a certain disposition, you might be able to check those things before they grow and develop. Those seeds get planted and you can rip them up before they grow into full-fledged abuse. So part of me is being aware of that. I think most churchgoers don't think of that. I think church abuse scandals catch them totally off guard, and they end up defending abusers because it's like, no, my guy would never do that.
Yes, that is true. And
So knowing, I guess this reveals I'm on the side of I would rather know more than not.
yeah.
But my personality type is such that I can wear that. And even if it's not visible on the outside, internally, it manifests as,
yeah.
And we're at a small church. So it's like a small town. It's like one thing comes out, it's like it spreads around, and possibly
by the way,
more than a
nothing
few people could know.
nothing I just said about abuse and stuff. I'm not worried about that at all with the current church
No.
that I'm involved with, but just in general, like I'm dialed into the online church abuse stuff in a way, because
Churches are made up of humans, and humans are flawed, and we all make mistakes and do dumb things.
but church people on average are more trusting. And so that's how these things go wrong, is that you trust the leader in front of you. You're taught to trust authority figures. And so you're not open to when things might be going wrong, because God has this guy there.
Tongue in cheek, I used to sound check microphones before leading worship by saying, trusting, 1, 2, trusting, 1, 2.
Yes, I've heard that one.
Okay.
See, it's built in.
The puns?
Trust is built in.
Oh.
Yeah, the puns are
The
built
puns?
into you.
The puns? That's from God. That's God given.
Goats?
I don't know. I don't know if at this point in time, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I'll enjoy a period of blissful ignorance after this.
I don't blame you. And I think you deserve it.
I earned it. If I've earned anything, I've earned this.
Jeff, he earned that ignorance.
Is it possible, if you going back, so the idea of like fear not, like be at peace with all of it. Is that possible? Like if you look back over the last 5 years and be like, I could have taken a little different stance and been at peace with this. Like this might not work, or this, X, Y, and Z might actually happen. And I have to be at peace with that. It's like it's not my job to steer the Titanic away from the iceberg. That actually might happen. So I mean, this is
I don't think
this is hindsight. I'm
I don't- for
looking
you-
back. I'm like, oh yeah, if you had just done,
could I engage
just
in
been very relaxed and really been at peace with the Lord, then it would be.
You guys, COVID was really pretty chill. And most people were pretty chill about it. We should have all just been pretty chill.
Yep.
And when all the staff and the pastor left, it was pretty chill.
Well,
I mean,
can I bro psychologize about you, Jeff? I don't think it would have been possible. And you tell me if I'm wrong.
well, I got at some point I got sucked very quickly. I got sucked into this because I'm like, there's no way, there's no way God we've created something that's gonna just wipe us all out. Like that's where I was. I'm like, no, this is not it. And so I was completely relaxed. But then I got pulled into
Created something what?
fighting against the people that were in my own church, arguing against them. And I'm like,
What do you mean?
Just arguing like, no, early on, I was like, I'll go into hospital. Like, you think there's a deadly virus? I'll go into hospitals.
Oh, back
and-
to COVID.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, that's because that was the beginning of the pandemic. But the point that I'm making is, and I don't know if this is where you're going, but I have a very competitive nature about me, and I realized looking back, not too far down the path, I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like, why did I do this? And so I was not at peace. So what I'm saying, is it possible that you could have? There has to have been people that just walked through this in peace. Probably people that were not on social media and didn't have phones.
No, but if you're
If it was any one of those things, if it was just having to deal with one of those things, that would have been probably
Enough?
doable. That would have been enough.
Oh,
That would have
okay.
been enough. I could have
Okay.
dealt with that. But when you're dealing with losing your pastor of
Yeah.
24 years, and then losing your worship pastor, who's your number 2 guy, and then losing your several other staff, and then wandering in the desert for several years. And
Right.
oh, by the way, COVID's full blown,
Yep.
and the church is mega divided, and half of your core people have left. Like all of those things, it compounds, man. And so, like, it sounds nice to
I
say,
get it.
can I
No.
could I find peace in the middle of that? And then the reality is like, no, there's just chaos swirling. It's total chaos. And you live in survival mode for 5 years, and that just drains you mentally and emotionally, spiritually.
and take away that particular your guys' context. Anybody that knows all of the things in a human-led institution, the answer is I don't think, and unless you're a sociopath, I don't think you can avoid wearing some of that and having that affect you.
Well, certainly,
and-
we're human.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Uh,
We're going to keep trying to shed that off of us.
Yeah. So, which is the problem with people that are drawn to leadership positions often are more prone to some of those personality traits where it's like, you probably shouldn't be there. So it's this weird catch-22. But
You started, and I cut in but you started like,
I think
Jeff-
I was
Jeff,
interrupting
Jeff,
you actually. But
no. You said, Jeff, I don't know if you could have.
yeah, knowing your personality, because you are competitive, but you're also emotional. You feel things for people. I don't think you could have gone through, forget COVID. I mean, don't forget COVID. Obviously, that was a big deal. But any circumstance, being involved and knowing the hurts and the struggles that people are going through, I don't think you could. There's no version of Jeff that goes through that and is fine, and it's just like doesn't feel any of it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, knowing all of that would have been like knowing everything that was going on, and it just hit just the next. It's like being in the. I mean, Andy, I can only imagine like being in the ocean, and you've got 10-foot waves on sets that are just coming in, and you cannot get out. You're like, oh, I made it up. Boom, you're hit again and again and again. Now you're grinded against the rocks or whatever. You're like, this is too much.
Oh, totally. In the midst of it, everyone's doing the best that they can, trying to make the best decisions that they can. And you're faced with a scenario where no matter what your decision is, 50% of the people will be pissed. Not just like, oh, I was a little unhappy. It's like
But
pissed
right.
and leaving.
So as an overseer, that is in leadership, just even outside of the church, when you're in a leadership role, if there's just these one after another, wave after wave just coming at you, it's just like you can only take so much to where you're like, I surrender. This is, I need a break for a moment and just let stuff happen. Just let shit happen. And then you're like, okay, now I'm going to jump back in and start rowing again. And hopefully we can get out of here. But that is exhausting. It is the reason probably why so many staff and leadership left church and went elsewhere.
Well, and it's a bummer because it does start to taint your interactions with the church.
Taint.
It starts to.
What do you mean by interactions? Interactions with actual individual people and relationships, or the just interacting with just the church thing as a whole?
Getting in the car and coming to church may have had a different impression or feeling or emotion before the last 5 years versus now. So at this point in time, it's like, am I going to something that's a bucket filler, or am I going to something that's like a keen reminder of
The
all
price is wrong, bitch.
Yeah, of all the shit that's going on that you have to like be aware of and deal with and sort out. So in some ways, like that, there's loss there because, like I was kind of alluding to, the curse of knowledge and the ownership or responsibility that you have to take in all this stuff. At some level, it robs you of being able to just show up and enjoy the people.
Right.
And like you were saying, both of you have said this, maybe all three of us, like that's the thing I love the most. Like there's the key people that I have close, deep relationships with, who I know and who know me, and like those are irreplaceable. Like for sure. Like that's the best word I can use is they're irreplaceable. And so I guess maybe it needs to be a reminder for myself, like, hey, if I'm going there and despite all the other stuff, at least if I get to see these guys, if I get to have an interaction with these guys, and maybe we get to go out and grab lunch and a beer afterwards, maybe that'll be okay and that'll be enough. And maybe it's more than enough. Maybe that's good. I don't know.
It's, just being
maybe that's a part of what church is.
Just being at church yesterday, that was by far the best day of church that I've had in 6 years. It was amazing. I can't even explain all the details, but somebody just won.
We don't want to hear about your resurrection.
That I saw, somebody I haven't seen in 5 years.
Yeah.
That was like, we haven't been in church in 5 years, and we just decided to show up today. I'm like, oh yeah. And I got to talk to him for, a good 10 minutes. And he's like, as we say goodbyes, I'm like, all right, see ya. And he's like, we'll be seeing each other. I'm like, amen. Oh my God. It was like fired up.
And that's great.
But I felt like, oh my gosh, for me, I'm like, I can feel it. Like as Zack says, I can feel something happening. And even though it was Easter, it was a different feel of Easter. Like I sat for a moment and watched the people interacting, people I hadn't seen, people I didn't know. I'm like, people are so happy right now. Like
that's good.
Some of these people are coming back that had never been here. And
it was one of my worst.
Oh man.
On the next, bro.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
like my come back my brother-in-law going, didn't go, heard the message. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, two totally different perspectives. And then I had the greatest day, and you're like, my worst.
I was out in the
Why?
back smoking cigarettes with your brother-in-law. Yeah, I was like, am I right?
None of those filters. You got this American spirit.
Marlboro Reds.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
Wait, dead
So that's-
serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dead serious.
And yes, Andy.
Yeah. Well, all the things I've just said. I have the curse of knowledge. So I have,
you have to just drop that bomb and then you can't go further.
yeah.
This podcast is heard worldwide. Breaking news.
Yeah.
You could break all the news right now with my mouth butthole. Cause that's your ass is ready to throw.
so stupid.
Yes.
So dumb. All right, well, let that simmer and sit with your pots.
I still think that's
Put-
a good segue to the goat.
All right, Jeff's been asking for the goat for a long time.
All right, fine. We're going to go to the goat. Now, listen, listeners, if you aren't on a YouTube, this just needs to be.
Should I just hold it up? No, you got it.
Go.
You just need to know. It's going to happen right now. Okay, here it is. And if you're watching on YouTube, there is a goat that's running into
A fireplace.
a fireplace
Inside a house.
It's on fire. Why does he keep going back
So
in?
many questions. Why is it in the house? Why is the goat in the house? Goat leaves. It walks away.
Jumps back in.
Goes
the fire.
right back into the
That's
fireplace.
a different goat. Baby goat.
that's-
Baby goat goes in,
That's got to be 500 degrees.
and that's it.
Okay.
All right.
And
It
that
just
was it.
scrolled to the other one.
But seriously, I do want to understand what was going on. Is it because the goats believe that they need to return to hell from whence they came?
Dude, you ever make eye contact with a goat? The answer is no. It's impossible. They're looking to the left and right. You can't make eye contact with a goat because they're looking for hell.
When my kids were younger, we loved watching.
Look at that. It goes in there again.
The fainting goats.
Goat went into the fire. Also, that's a really big fire.
Those are dumb goats.
Anyway, that was stupid.
Actually,
and
sorry. They're
loved
just
it.
goats.
Stupid and loved
Redundant.
it. If you're listening, go on YouTube
It
and
was a good palate cleanser.
find the goat jumps into fire.
But, well, I appreciate you guys being honest to whether you couldn't maybe be all the way honest given the roles you were in, but it's obvious that there's
There's okay.
stuff
Telling the
wearing.
truth doesn't
Being
mean you need to
honest,
tell all the truth.
It's full disclosure. There's sometimes full disclosure is not appropriate. Am I right, Andy?
It's always not appropriate.
No, I've told my kids if your mom and I had access to every single one of our thoughts, we would never be married. And that
Yeah.
applies to every single human. Like you would not have a relationship with anybody of any depth if you had full undistilled honesty of every little thought that comes into your mind that you check and then you think about later and then maybe you refine it, you think about it. It's just
There's
Fool's
3,000
errand.
thoughts per minute for the average human being. And so if we were to just output all of those things, it's not going to be helpful.
yeah.
I want to know the person who calculated that in a human being. Like thought. No, okay. Continue.
It's probably Douglas Murray.
What were they thinking at the time? Were they thinking 6,000 thoughts because they were calculating the other thoughts that other people were thinking? Is that 6,000 thoughts? 3,000 plus 3,000 thoughts?
Oh.
All
All right.
right.
Now let's start the podcast.
No.
What other part of church are you sick about?
Well, we got Space is Gay and Fake by Candace Owens.
Space
is gay.
Hold on. Space is gay and
Fake and Gay or
fake
Gay
and-
and Fake. I can't remember, but I do have a clip.
It's fake and gay. It is
Space is
fake.
fake and gay.
Space is fake.
Or
Okay.
there is I'm just going to say tweet, formerly known as X.
We got to stop doing that.
Powerlifting. God's Glory is when activity matches identity. Powerlifting for men is glorious. Powerlifting for women is not. Softness for women is glorious. Softness for men is
Yeah.
not. No.
That's fun. I vote for space is
Fake and
fake
gay.
and gay.
All right.
All right, here we go.
But here's my bone to pick with Matt Walsh. We have a long running beef on the topic of NASA and moon landings because he
Candace
thinks they
Owens.
happened. And listen, when the guys did it, it was fake and gay. I'm sorry, Matt, and it's time for you to admit it. It was just as bad.
If you live under a rock, a bunch of women went to the thresholds of space to float for a few minutes and came back down. A bunch of very wealthy, privileged women. And this is a reaction. I don't know what her beef is with Matt Walsh, but Candace Owens, this is somebody that like I don't believe she believes anything she says. I feel like she's saying what she needs to say to maintain what she's doing.
By the
I
way,
just want to
we have 3,000 thoughts through our head. She has 3,000 words per minute coming out of her mouth.
Yes.
Go.
lie for it. Okay, homies were on the moon making phone calls
Homies.
before the time of cell phones. Like, hey, what's up, Prez? It's me on the moon with the flag. No issues. First time we've ever flown this thing. Yeah, I don't know. We just got through the belt pretty easily. And until Matt Walsh accepts that the mission in '69 was also fake and gay, I don't care. I can't defend you. Even if I fully agree with you about Gayle King, I won't.
Pause
I
real quick.
literally cannot defend.
Wait, what's the gay part?
I don't know. I don't often listen to Candace Walsh.
Okay, like
Or Walsh.
Candace-
They just got married.
Oh,
Matt
no.
Walsh.
Oh, my gosh.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Matt and
okay,
Candace.
By the way, if you're Irish or if you're up in the nether regions of the British Empire, it's fake and gay. That's what it is. It's fake
Seamus fake and gay.
Seamus.
Fake moon landing is my favorite of all the conspiracy theories by far. There's no the second place is like a distant. I don't even know what it is. JFK assassination
Yeah.
is my second favorite, but fake moon landing number one. Best conspiracy theory ever. There's so much information on it. It's really fun.
Yeah. It's fun. And whatever you side, even if you believe wholeheartedly that we went and that happened just like everyone says,
There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. It's fun.
There's enough
It's
stuff.
really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
But the gay part,
I know.
that's new.
Breaking news.
Was there? So let's let Candace unpack the gay part.
I feel like she's
I
talking
don't-
like Alec Baldwin and his brothers in Massachusetts back in the day when it was okay to call each other names like that, including the F word in that vocabulary. Like that's a Boston thing where everything was gay. That's so gay.
Well, it's kind of like you're an effing douchebag. It'd be like if you actually thought about it, you're like
was totally fake, totally gay.
It's fake and gay.
That was better.
Bunch of effing douchebags went up there.
I'm getting there.
What's the douchebag
All
part?
right. Should we hear a little more?
So, yeah, I'm
Candace?
gonna press play. Can you give me a little another finger of
Skosh?
bourbon
Yes.
there? Thank you.
defend you. Okay, you must come to terms with the fact that NASA and space missions have always been this fake and gay. You just weren't alive for the original ones.
Thanks,
And
Seamus.
you need to learn the history of NASA, of the Apollo programs, which were occult and satanic. It was
Oh.
literally meant to be an antichrist movement to make people believe in man. It's a fact. I'm going to show you guys. It's like you can look this up anywhere. Look up Jack Parsons and
Anywhere.
the Apollo program. They just wanted people to believe in scientific advancement. The guy who created the Apollo program was this guy, Jack Parsons. Can you pull up this clip, Skylar? This is from a podcast, the Science History Institute Museum and Library. This is one of their podcasts, and you scroll down here, and you again are probably
Pause
have
real
to make
quick.
this bigger for my eyes, but it
Where's the gay part?
Oh, you're gonna be left unsatisfied.
Oh man. But honestly, so
If
does
you
she
th-
ever
well-
get to?
I don't know.
That-
But if you think about it,
If you
it's-
think about space,
and
I don't want to think about this.
you're like, that's the fact. If they made this up, that's totally fake and gay. And then when I say that's fake and gay, I mean that's a fake and gay. That's what I mean. Like, it's like if someone called somebody, you're an ass.
It's
you know what?
the-
You're an ass. You're an ass. You're an asshole. Where'd the hole come from? Be like, well, you're an asshole. It's
Just
added. I'm
extra-
adding this
extra
on.
emphasis.
Yes, I'm really. It's like
It's the more offense.
it's the all caps Donald Trump, ex whatever,
Yeah.
formerly known as.
I don't think it has anything to do with anyone's sexuality.
Is she using
no,
gay
absolutely
like
not.
gay in the 90s?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like old school gay,
Yeah,
I think so. And it's
like the R word now.
yeah, you're a fag. It's like that.
well,
That's different.
No, it's
I
not.
might actually have to go
No,
and
it's
beep that
not.
for YouTube.
No, that is different. Yeah, remember we used to just call everything gay.
you-
That's gay. That's just gay. That's what in the 90s you call everything gay and retarded. Those are the two words. And stand-up comedians
Okay.
are bringing them back.
How old are you, Andy?
47.
Okay, ours was like you. That was ours.
Oh,
Then I think it turned into gay with your, 5 years
What's
later.
the timestamp on that? So
115.
okay, around the 115 mark.
and 100
that
years
one is
ago, it
diff-
was cigarettes.
That one's different though. It is different.
That
The
it
bundle
wasn't.
of
If you lived
sticks.
in it, then it wasn't.
Well, yeah, maybe you're right.
You know,
They
back
hate
to the
it.
moon conspiracy.
Okay, Douglas.
I just
Bullshitting now.
I said you're right.
No, I
That
know.
Douglas would have been like,
Yeah.
you should look over here in the left hand corner of the room, and I'll deflect you and just. But yes, but how come you're thinking about gay people so much,
It's
Jeff?
not it's gay.
Is it because you yourself are gay, Jeff? Have you
actually
considered
Douglas
that?
Murray is gay, just for the listener.
Yeah,
for
that's
extra
the funny
context. He's
part.
actually gay, not in the way Candace is using it.
Not in the fun way.
I bet Douglas is pretty fun. I go to a party with him.
I feel a little bit of tension. Like men can't just be
Gay.
men.
Oh,
yeah, and
wait.
talk about like that's totally gay. Or like our friend who like calls everybody, oh yeah, it, and be like, that is just who's shutting that down. I have a problem with that.
Well, go a little further back in time, and it's not hard to imagine individuals of a certain proclivity complaining about certain words not being able to be used like they were before.
Mhm.
Other words starts with N. Like language changes, and what is acceptable and unacceptable changes over time, or meanings of words change too, and that happens. That's natural. We've all done it. We grow up in it. We use words in a way that they weren't used in the past, and vice versa. So I agree with you.
Can we just say blast from the past?
I don't, and then say whatever we want. Like, we need to drop like.
Dave Chappelle does it every time he gets on stage.
You know, Dave Chappelle has a melanin force field where he can
That's
say
not-
whatever he wants. And
He's the last man standing.
where the line is for everyone regarding her saying gay or the way Jeff used the F word. And I only said it like that because I'm going to be editing that out for YouTube algorithm purposes. Not I'm going to be bleeping it.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, we have to do that, or else we get dropped.
Oh, such a
Okay, thank you. So yes, I'm not offended by people using language in a way that they see fit. But not everyone is, and there are
Most language
yeah.
doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's whatever's behind. I'm more interested in whatever's behind the
the
language.
intent. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
the intent.
We talked about that a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
But I did watch Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey. Speaking of
of
gay,
gay,
that is he occupies a large part of the 33% of me that is gay. Matthew McConaughey. That is a great movie, Interstellar. They do talk about the moon landing. They drop a little Easter egg in there when he's going. Somebody from NASA, when he stumbles upon NASA, spoiler alert, sometime in the future, when climate is not cooperating with the world, and we have to get out of here. And one of the NASA scientists talks drops a bomb about, oh, the moon landing was fake because we were just trying to bankrupt the Soviet Union. And I'm like, are they planting seeds? Are they, the scare quotes, whoever they is? But there's been a couple movies who have mentioned the moon landing being fake. And
You mean the movies that have been created and bankrolled by the CIA? Are those the ones you're talking about?
Yes. But
Yes,
not,
those ones, Andy.
yes.
Exactly.
And not in a joking way. And it's easy to see how it's possible. That's why I like that conspiracy, is that the Cold
the
War
best
was
one.
serious. If we can get the Soviets to spend a bunch of money on something that nobody's going to actually do, and we do it on a soundstage, that's such a genius move of subterfuge.
Dude, and what's so dumb, I remember being like 6 years old and going over to a friend's house, and the dad had a moon rock. And I'm like, now I look back, I'm like, why did this dude in Bakersfield, California, a middle school teacher, own a moon rock? How does that work out? That doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah.
And that's how
Salesman.
I've debunked the entire moon landing.
Yeah.
I mean, how hard is it to transport stuff back from the moon? There's probably not that much that a middle school teacher in Bakersfield, California could own a piece of the moon.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But it
Probably drove through Quartzsite and they just sold them on that. Quartzsite is a fun city in the middle of nowhere, California, and they sell lots of rocks.
And it looks like the moon.
And probably back in the 60s, they're like, hey, man, we got some of that moon rock. They just dropped it off.
Hey, man,
Out of their payload, they gave some to us.
you look gay. you want to go to space?
You
No? Okay, well, here's a rock.
I think back then it was
You
light.
look like the
I
type
think
of
back then
fella.
the
Nah,
phrase was light in the loafers. Light in the loafers.
I thought we were going to
Whoa.
have to bleep it again. I was
Boomer.
light in the...
Hey,
What's a
light
loafer?
in the loafers. It's a wild loafers. Who says that?
What's a loafer?
You
Well, thanks for podcasting tonight, guys. This
Yeah.
was delightful.
Where are we at? We're at an hour 20, 30.
Yeah, we're at an hour 20.
Yeah.
That's a good time. I don't know.
Well,
Unless-
my union, I think we all agreed. The union says an hour and 23, and then we're out, or we get overtime pay.
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
I know. Summer rep.
We forgot to talk about this, though.
Oh, God. Gosh darn it.
Jeff, your disgusting
What?
keto breath.
Andy's eyebrow. He raised his eyebrow.
Oh, did I?
Yes. Jeff.
Why do you...
I'm glad I almost got out of my peace. Andy almost took me out of my peaceful Jesus mode.
No, then I sent you into space. With you,
I wish your
What-
keto breath was fake and gay.
why do you have keto breath?
Yeah, I'm 8 days in on the keto diet, and I don't know. A few days ago, my I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I got bad breath, but somebody told me if you lick your finger and then smell it, you'll smell what your breath is bringing. And my wife goes, "What does it smell like? Dog poop?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it does." And she's like, "I know." I'm like, "Yeah." So I've had dog poop breath for days. Oh, wait. Oh God! It's not
Still?
even the bourbon's not knocking it out.
Really?
Yes, it's so bad.
Oh man, I gotta throw that microphone cover away afterwards.
Actually, we're going to have to burn it.
Yeah, we have to burn that in
Uh,
effigy. Do you feel better though?
Oh my gosh, I have so much energy.
Really?
Yes, and I was 207 8 days ago, and I woke up and I was 194 this morning. I mean, in pounds, and
That's for our friends in Ireland. on
that's
the-
fake and gay.
Kilograms.
How many stone? How
Yeah.
many stone are you?
13.2 stones. I
If
have
that's
no
even
idea.
close, I salute you. That's impressive.
Yeah, this
But you
is-
feel better?
Oh man, I feel great. I feel
How long are
great.
you going to go?
We'll see. I may leave here and go get a Big Mac. So it's so hard to get home. I mean, a couple days ago, I was holding an IPA. My son was out and was working on his car or something. And I'm holding an IPA and I'm getting the beach chair out in the garage. I'm just going to kick back with the dog and have a beer. And I'm like, why am I holding a beer? I literally almost like not even thinking about it, or the desire to just like, I need a beer. I need some bread. I need it now.
Dude, you need substitutes in the house. If you don't have substitutes, then that's just what you go for.
We've got substitutes. It's just, will I grab it first? So, or at least crack it open. The moment I crack it open, I'm like, whoo, made it. So there's a couple exits I have to get by on the way home from work. If I don't get by those exits, if I pull off, I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. I go to Starbucks. Make sure you go to Starbucks. But over there, that looks really good. I know they got all kinds of stuff in there. So that's, it's about as difficult as it was for you to be an overseer for those 6 years.
It sounds like the same thing. It sounds like exactly the same thing.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, how's your breath?
Licking my finger.
Wait, should we have Zach smell my breath?
Oh, yeah, we should do that.
No, we shouldn't. No. This was not run by the board.
Wait, here we go. Are you ready?
No.
Lick it again.
Hey.
I'm just gonna breathe on you, okay?
Hey, smell my finger.
Listener, he's
It's
breathing.
almost like
on-
Band-Aid.
Band-Aid?
Maybe the bourbon is working. There's like a little medical
Band-Aid's
office.
not bad.
That's actually part. It can either be the crap or there's like a mint something
Yeah,
or
I'm
fruity.
glad I missed your shit phase.
Ketones or the ketones get used and then
It's
it
my
comes
favorite
out.
50s band.
Yeah, it comes
the
out
ketones.
as a fruit, like a fruity, or you get the opposite, which is dog shit. And I guess I can't even tell
It's
anymore.
not bad. If I was your wife, I would kiss you.
Okay, going home
Yeah.
quick. Glad it's only a 3-minute drive.
Tanya, get on that.
Space is gay.
If you learn one thing from this episode,
God,
Space is fake and
that's
gay.
the problem. It's so perfect. I know we're out of here, but it's just so perfect. You don't know what anyone actually believes what they're saying. They're just saying shit to say shit to drive the clicks. Listen lightly. Listen as entertainment. You'll be okay.
You know what, though? That's not what we do. We aren't doing that. Other than the goats that we threw up there.
You guys
That was just for good times.
I wanted to do it
guys-
because it was fun.
shared
Yeah.
some honest stuff, and I was mostly honest.
Wait, is the podcast
Especially-
over?
Yes.
Okay.
God, yes.
Can I take my headphones off?
You want to be burned out? Are you tired, worn out, burned out on podcasts? Come to Bros, Bibles, and Beer.
I've heard
and
this.
find rest. Where space is neither fake nor gay.
It's just a fake and gay. This is stupid. We're done. We're done. After an hour and 26 minutes, you're now telling people.
Andy, close us out so we don't hang ourselves on our words.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Bros, Bibles, and Beer. This is a podcast that we try to do every single week. And if you want to email us, brosbiblesandbeer at brosbiblesbeer@gmail.com.
Yes, Bros Bibles Beer at Bros Bibles Beer at brosbiblesbeer.gmail.kungfuface.com.
We just got that domain. brosbiblesbeer@gmail.com. YouTube comments are awesome. We love those. And we will read YouTube comments next week. If you want to leave a voicemail, speakpipe.com/bros.
Or .fm.
Is it .fm?
I don't know. Who cares?
Oh, man.
Just Google
put
it, people.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Maybe throw that at the front.
like we show up on
You can
Google.
literally send a voice file to brosbiblesbeer@gmail.com. We'll play it. Come on.
You can literally
Mega.
send a voice file.
Mega haba.
You
Tell
can
your friends.
literally do it.
Just leave comments on YouTube. That's the best way to do it.
Did you
And
just pick a booger and flick it on the floor?
No, my eye boogers.
Oh, so yeah, it was a booger.
gosh,
Sorry, you're hurting goats at this time. We're trying to run up the fireplace,
this is
Andy.
what it's like being an
Stop us
overseer.
before we run up the fireplace.
Don't ever join the board of your church. It's literally like this. The same thing. The If you do nothing else,
Why?
share this podcast with one other person. For Jeff, Zach, I am Andy. This is Bros, Bibles and Beer. Grace, peace, cheers. You're the worst podcasters. The worst. Absolute worst. There's none worse. Sleepy Joe
I like how you're
Biden
peppering it in. That's
purposely
classy.
allowed millions of criminals to enter our country. I lose it very quickly.
Yeah.